Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya King, and today I'll be talking about the intersectionality of drag and trans identities. And I'm also going to speak about my personal anecdotal experiences about it. I was a drag queen first before discovering the woman inside me, the trans woman inside me. And the real big takeaway that I learned was that drag was a segue into discovering my inner femininity. I came from a fairly conservative background where boys wear jeans and a t-shirt and girls wear dresses, and there was no fun or deviation from that formula. So those feminine pieces were very much denied to me when I was a child and when I was going through puberty, when I was starting to get confused about my place in the world. So I discovered drag as an art form when I was in my mid-20s, and I was really attracted to it because it meant that it was a very convenient way of discovering feminine things without necessarily having to explain to conservative factions what you're on about. And at the same time, too, in the context of a drag show at a queer bar or a queer space, you're kind of protected. You are enabled to kind of discover this feminine side of yourself, this inner woman, if you will, and it's celebrated as well. So to me, that accelerated my process into discovering who I was, and probably shaved many years into my journey to finding out what kind of a person I was. And for that reason, I owe quite a lot to drag, and I'm very thankful that I've continued through it for as long as I did. Now, that's not to say that I've always felt feminine performing on stage and being a character. The classic instinct that some trans women will feel is that drag is a caricature of gender norms, and to some extent that's true. But when I was starting to feel the acute symptoms of gender dysphoria, I would come home after a show, and instead of taking off the whole attire, I would allow myself to feel feminine in my space. I would take pictures, I would experiment with attire and ways of being, if you will. So in that regard, it was a very great matter of convenience for me that I had all the stuff that I had for the stage, all this experience, all of a sudden I could turn around and incorporate it into a more true version of my femininity. Now, some people are probably asking, like, why are you still performing in drag if you've already found your inner woman? Drag is just it's meant to be fun. Yes, I was able to find the inner woman within me, but my drag character is definitely not myself, Tanya, the trans woman. On a day-to-day life, I'm much more shy and introverted, if you will, and public speaking does not come naturally to me when I'm just by myself at home and I don't have to impress anyone in a queer bar or whatever. But I find that self-expression, that artistry, is part of what makes me a woman. Learning how to do the makeup well, learning how to do the hair well, and putting together an attire are all elements of femininity that I hold dear, that comes from not only exploring my femininity for drag initially, but to continue to do so to the present day. So with that, let's switch on over to Daytime Tanya. Hi everyone, it is Daytime Tanya. That looks suspiciously also like Nighttime Tanya. I swear, this is really what I wear on a day-to-day basis. So this is me living my day-to-day life as a trans woman. And Continuing the conversation started by drag Tanya from earlier, drag does not have to define gender. Um, there's tons of people that find drag either before or after their transition that would be considered unorthodox. So, for instance, I know of a trans man who's transitioned and now he performs as a drag queen. And our instincts would tell us that, whoa, like that would just give him massive dysphoria, right? Not necessarily the case. He actually enjoys it because we disconnect. We have our fun with the artistry, we have our fun with the character and the stage presence and our interactions with the audience, and then, like a light switch, we just turn it off when we get home. And even I myself, I've obviously performed as a drag queen numerous times, but on a handful of occasions, I've also performed as a drag king. Um, and that's a male character, if you will. And that's not a slight on my femininity, on my womanhood, if you will, because I got to go home and I am still a woman. I get to go home and I still have breasts and I still have, bottom surgery and all that stuff. That's still an ongoing thing, if you will. So yeah, drag is, there's this myth perpetuated by a lot of cisgender people, but also that's perpetuated by trans people, that drag has to define how we see ourselves internally. And the reality of it is that, for the most part, us drag performers, we don't really see it that seriously. It really doesn't define who I am inside, because I know myself to be a warm, kind, empathetic, and generous woman. And the makeup, the hair, the cool outfits, the extravagant stage personality only really allows me to access a certain flavor of that, but it's not exclusive to that. I find that joy of femininity, that inner, like, feminine spirit, the compassion, the empathy, and all that stuff. First thing in the morning, when I roll out of bed and doing my hormones and playing on my computer or whatever. So yes, this is, to me, drag, finding out that I'm a woman inside and playing with makeup and all that fun jazz has been quite the experience. And I feel now I've reached a point where there's really two opposites end of the spectrum, where the drag character is someone that I only identify with on a mythological level. Like, she's a mythical being that's kind of beyond our plane of existence, our realm of understanding, if you will. Whereas this is accessible to me. I can do this very easily and summon my inner feminine energy without really trying, if I'm honest. The drag, on the other hand, can be quite a lot of effort. It can be quite challenging, if I'm honest. But both parts are equally rewarding to me anyways. And with that, I would like to bid you all adieu. Have a peaceful evening, and yes, until next time, I wish you all peace, happiness, and all that fun jazz, if you will. So take care, and I've been Daytime Tanya, and yeah, see you very soon.